Welcome to the Good Man Paradigm. Tonight I am joined by Rhyley Hunter. But to start us off, my name's Imogen Hobbs. I'll be your host. I'm also the men's coach and founder of Change Channel Coaching. Now, the whole premise behind the Good Man Paradigm is that the idea that a lot of men are brought into the world believing that they have to be good, but not necessarily themselves. They aren't necessarily on a regular basis taught how to connect with themselves, understand themselves, be the version of themselves in the world that they actually want to be, and rather taught to keep other people happy, to put themselves out to work harder, to work longer, to please people and put themselves second. And so the whole point of this conversation is that we want to challenge what that's looked like, what that's set people up for in their lives, what's that set men up for in their lives, and then what they've had to do to confront themselves and to reconcile that and become the man that they want to be or work on that. And so tonight we're going to be talking about change doesn't have to mean failure. So welcome, Rhyley. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. I'm stoked. Can't wait.
Yeah.
You
Rhyley is
scrolled
the...
the battle to have me on, so you just... I'm a bit concerned.
I'm excited. So, Rhyley, you're the founder of Talent Cartel and Huntsman Recruiting. That's Talent Cartel is still coming into the world, right? But Huntsman Recruiting has been your business for a long time.
Yep, that's it. So Talent Cartel, we actually set a date today. So on the 13th of July is launch date. We're on. Finally, it's been a long time coming. And Huntsman Recruiting, I've had for 11 years next month. So it's just flown by, which is wild.
So July's the month for you. It's all anniversaries and launches.
I didn't even think about that. It's the... I think the 15th of July was the same. I don't know, might be the first. Who knows? But yeah, July's the time.
Brad really loves that. That's awesome. Now, just for the viewers, people joining us, I can see some of you in there watching. You can hop comments in. You can share your take on what we're talking about. You can ask questions as we're going. So we'll be able to see that live as we move through. If you've got a question specifically for Rhyley, then can you just let me know that you're directing that at Rhyley so that I can ask him as we're going. Now, Rhyley, the topic is change doesn't have to mean failure. And to kick us off tonight, what I would love to know from you is, what has been the wheels fell off moment for you, like the biggest one, the biggest thing that at the time you looked at and maybe thought, like, I've failed, like the world is burning down around me. And maybe retrospectively you can look at that now and see that it wasn't a failure moment, but what can you tell us about a moment like that in your life?
Yeah, geez, you're going deep on me straight away.
Always.
Look, to me, the most pivotal moment, it's pretty easy. I used to smoke weed for Australia. Like, I was an absolute world champion at smoking weed. And looking back, I had a lot of anxiety, and I just did it it was like self-medication, basically. And I just thought that was my thing, and I was really high functioning on it. Like, I literally, the first 3 years of Huntsman, I was high as a kite, not during the day, but I would deliberately be going home at 1 or 2 o'clock to smoke myself into a coma, basically, like to just put myself out of my misery. Not that I wasn't depressed or anything, but just that constant mental noise was always there. And so that went on for probably 3 or 4 or 5 years, ended up being sort of a $400 or $500 a week habit. And yeah, again, looking back now, it was crazy. Like, life is chalk and cheese. But from there, the biggest, I went to New York at the time and had a miscarriage. And in the hospital there, I remember I just had a huge black coffee. We'd been awake for 24 hours, lots of stress, lots of pressure. I wasn't smoking weed then because I'd been away for a week. So it was like all this perfect storm of things. And then I remember just having this overwhelming feeling of like I was dying. And so I was literally just saying to these nurses, "Fucking get over here, there's something wrong with me, there's something going on, I don't know what's happening." they rigged all these machines up to me anyway, and they're like, mate, I think you're having a panic attack. Like, and anyway, it spun me out. I left there and didn't really talk much about it. I didn't really have many support mechanisms around me. Literally all I knew was smoke more weed. Like, that was my way of getting myself out of it, which again, like looking back, is just a crazy mindset to have. So that might have been 8 or 9 years ago, I'm guessing anyway. And then when it happened again outside the hospital, I remember being in a cab and it happening on the way to the airport to go home. And I was like, what is going on here? Like, I started to develop this real fear around having like a panic attack. Then got home, smoked even more, just buried that under I just pretended it didn't happen really. That was my way of sort of coping with that. And then I started going to, this is all whilst building out Huntsman, sort of a couple of years in. And I remember then I went to a client appointment, like a job brief, basically. We sit down and take the full details of the job and go through that. So I sat down, I've done hundreds of them before, right? And I absolutely loved it. I loved the client interaction. Sat down and I remember this feeling just like come over me, that whole, like, it's just this, I don't know if you've had one before, it's like this full sensation of fear, like you're literally about to die. That came over me in the client meeting. I just completely checked out. I was gone. I wasn't there. All I wanted to do was run away. I ended up I can't even remember what I said or what was done. It was like I was in auto mode taking this brief. Got out of there, went home, went back to the old comfort blanket of smoking, smoking weed again. And then that happened another 2 or 3 times. And then a good mate of mine, Colette McGowan was the name. I was speaking to her one night and I just opened up about it all. I was like, this is what I've been doing with myself. And I had all this guilt and shame around it because I was like, I came from a great family, great upbringing, never had any real problems or anything like that. Like, it was just, I had no excuse to be doing what I was doing. And every time I was doing it, I'd say to myself every day, like, today's the day I quit. Like, I've had enough. Like, that's it. I can't do this. I'm running a business here. People think I'm this sort of person when I'm out and about. And then when I'm at home, they'd be disgusted if they knew what I was up to. And that just like ate away at me. And then anyway, she's like, oh, my brother, Iggy McGowan, who I knew he was an absolute wild man in his time in Wagga. And he completely dug himself out of the deepest, darkest holes you can imagine. Like, his stories, he's sort of someone you'd probably have on here. Like, he's brilliant. So anyhow, he completely flipped his life around. He's now a mindset mentor and coach. And I've been working with him now. So she's like, have a chat with you. Like, what do you got to lose? So I had a chat with him, spoke to him about it all. And I was like, maybe I just cut it back a little bit. And he's like, no, you got to, it stops here. Like, you've got to stop completely cold turkey. That's it. And then, so I was like, okay, I'll do that. But I left it there in the shed. It was still sitting there. I was like, just a little blanket just in case. And then I remember coming back from Canberra one night and I was like, I'm going to get home and smoke. Like, there's no doubt about it. I just had that in my head. Like, it had been 2 weeks, I think. And then, got home, did that, had a panic. That was the first time I just felt panic. Usually that would be like my thing to level me out. And it just, this overwhelming panic came to me. I was like, holy fuck, that doesn't even work anymore. And then that's when I got it, threw it all out, smashed it. And then anyway, so from there I started talking with Iggy every week and have done for ever since then. So 7 or 8 years, he's been a real lifesaver for me. And we just started to open up about who I really wanted to be and why I was doing it, other ways around it. And I just never saw myself getting out of that habit. I thought that was me. And so that moment of, I think, getting the right mentor and getting the right support around myself and having those panic attacks, looking back, I was like, again, there's a lot of shame around it. But looking back now, I'm like, if I didn't have those experiences, I would have never gone down this path, ever. Yeah. I would have never gone down of like developing myself and getting better and wanting to constantly work on things. And so that to me was a huge failure at the time. I used to beat myself up about it. And looking back now, I'm like, I wouldn't have it any other way. Happy to share that story to anyone. I've got no guilt or shame about it now, which is funny. Like, that's just gone. I'm like, that, it is what it is. And yeah.
Firstly, really appreciate you sharing so honestly, because I think, like, I hear so many men come through, you like, particularly through my programs that have got some sort of substance or like, alcohol or weed or antidepressants or things like that, that they're trying to figure out how to navigate that dependency and how to navigate that relationship and how to start stepping away from it. So I think it's a really relevant share for the broader
Mm.
society, and particularly in Australia. Like there's a lot of backyard bongs happening, like
Yeah.
and a lot of us grew up around that as well. But I wondered,
Mm.
like, on what you said, like you had no right to be doing that. Like, you grew up from in a good family and loving, supportive home and all of those sorts of things. You had no right to be doing that. Why? Like, what determines the right to be able to get into something like that, or to be?
Um, yeah, no, another great question. I think it is a funny thing. Like if I think I just thought like I've had the world at my feet. Like I've got supportive parents, I've got great sisters, I've got I bought a house when I was 21. Like I was sort of like a high achiever in a lot of areas. Like was pretty good at some sports, and just I think I was letting myself down. I just had that guilt and shame. I remember like literally smoking a bong once, and then I thought about my sister, and I was like, I just coughed it all. Like I almost spewed just thinking about it. I was like, fucking, I was imagining her watching me do this. And I was just, I just knew, I think I just knew I was better. Like I was better than that. So that was the biggest thing that ate me up, was not that I didn't have any excuse. It was like, I just knew better and I wasn't doing anything about it. Does that make
What?
sense?
Yeah, definitely. It definitely does. I think like a lot of that can come from that pressure, as well, around, like like what have I got to, like what's wrong with my life? Like I've got everything at my feet. I can take any avenue that I want to. I'm good at things. So what was it that led you to that habit in the first place?
It literally starts. So going back to school, like when I was 15, 16, I'd never had a cigarette. I'd like the people that would smoke bongs, I'd be like, you fucking bong heads. Like, and I'll be the one that would judge them. It's crazy. And I started just doing it occasionally with a few mates and stuff as well. It was just a bit of fun. And then I just realized more and more like how it was just my thing. Like it just made me feel so good. Like the head noise would instantly stop. And then I started playing footy like with an AFL club, and the culture was very much around drinking and drugs. Like we were taking any pill under the sun or a cap or like whatever you could get your hands on, like we were into. And then we'd go out and drink after the games, and then you'd be, smoking yourself silly in a shed until 5 or 6 a.m., calling in sick to work the next day. Like it was just crazy on a Sunday. And then from there, that became literally before we play on a Sunday, we'd all get together and you'd want to be relatively fresh. So we'd just be like, oh, well, we can still smoke and have a good time. And then it just progressed for me to go, I actually rather do this by myself. So then I'd start doing it by myself at home. And that's when I realized, okay, this is a bit of an issue now. Like I didn't really want to be going out and socializing. I never really liked drinking much, to be honest. So it was a thing of just that society pressure of, I think it's great now. Like that's sort of just gone for these young people coming through now. But for me, it would really impact me like for days, for even weeks. Or if I'd have drugs, not weed, any other drugs, I would be completely in my head. Like the boys who I used to live with would take the piss and be like, oh, the black dog's at Rhyley's door, he's barking at his door again, because I'd lock myself in my bedroom for 2 or 3 days. But that was it'd just go around and around and around. That was the culture of it. And then, again, it got to a point where I was just so good at being able to get on, like to get the weed and literally be dropped behind my wheelie bin. By the time I got home, I'd leave $50 there and I'd have a $50 or a quarter or whatever. That was it. And it just became so easy. But that's how those things, I think, can just slowly progress.
Mm. When you just said before, like it quietened the head noise, how much, like I know that you're a bit spicy as well. And And how much of that do you see, like, now in your life, like, versus like, hang on, I'll frame this question a bit better. Like when you're younger, and the noise, the doubt, the constant monkey mind kind of thing seems to play a lot louder with a lot less awareness and a lot less understanding of what it is. And as you get those societal pressures, like quietening that down, how much more do you understand about that, like noise now? Do you still have it, and what's changed?
Mm, yeah, awesome. Back then, I didn't understand it at all. That's what scared the shit out of me. I thought
Mm.
there's something massively wrong with me. This just happens to me, which still at times now, to be honest, I'll talk to like Iggy about in particular and be like, oh, these are the thoughts I'm having, or this is like just on repeat in my head, or this sensation in my body, or whatever it is, or I just got this sense of fear, or something's going wrong. And but again, I'll be able to talk about it and actually get some understanding, and then be able to work through it. But back then, I didn't have a clue. That's always say, like even the kids going through high school, I feel like shaking them, going, none of this matters. Like at the moment, like none of this matters. Like just get through this stage and you're sweet. Or not sweet, but do you get me? Like at the time, though, there's so much going on. But I remember reading the first thing self-development wise that I read was The Power of Now. And that is just my like go-to book or audio book. Have you read that before?
I haven't read The Power of Now, but I do have my go-to version of that.
Yeah. So it is brilliant. And once I had that penny drop moment of shit, my mind just wants to be either in the past or in the future. None of those are real. The only thing that real is right now. I was just like, I couldn't. So like once you know it, there's no going back. And that was,
Yeah.
I've even
Once
said
you see,
to
you
people
can't
before,
unsee.
like, part of me wishes I never saw it, because now I've just got this hyper awareness of everything, every thought, every situation, which is a great thing, but it just needs to be dealt with in the right way. So yeah, back then didn't have a clue. Now I do have an understanding. To answer the other question, there's definitely still head noise. Like I think everyone has it. It's just with different things and different areas. But I just got a lot more understanding, and I seek support as well. So like having someone like Iggy in my corner every week, and he always points me back to even like journaling every night and doing these daily rituals and breathing. Well, this is the first podcast I've been on, to be honest, that I haven't felt anxious about or worried about. So I know partly because I know you, I feel comfortable with you. I feel like I didn't have to plan or prepare. I can just come on and just be myself, if that makes sense. I don't have to try and pretend I know everything or I've got everything sorted, because I don't. But yeah, having someone like that to be able to bounce these things off with and have an understanding of how my mind works, unbelievable. That's why I love, even what you do with your clients as well. It's just everyone needs to have it. And I'll share this as well. I spoke to you just a couple of days ago, and I said we were going on here, and we're talking about change, and we're just saying how he's been there through all these major changes in my life, and even say the divorce. That probably, or most likely, would have been a complete shambles had I not had someone in my corner to say, just slow down, like let's look at it from a different perspective. This is how we're going to handle it, or have you thought about this? And so to be able to now have that great co-parent relationship, nothing blew up, we got through it fine, life moved on, everything's good. But again, if you don't have the right support, like someone like yourself, especially for men, you're going to misrepresent yourself so many times.
Yeah, that's so true. Hey, like I've got one client who's been right through my phase 1 to 4 program, and the phase 1 was like, that was like, I have to get out of this house. And I've spoken to him since and said, where would you be if we didn't work together? And he was like, drunk and in that house still. And I think that that's part of it. Like every stage of that we went through, it was like, I have to fight for the money, I have to fight for all of these things. And it's like, you can make more money. Like, you're better to come out of this with your sanity and with like self-respect, and like a solution to the situation that means that you can separate from it sooner rather than drag it out for really long periods of time and be
Yeah.
so connected or so dug in on that. And I think, like, in terms of what you're speaking about, like, what do you think would have happened in for the divorce and in terms of divorce had you not had that support there? Like, how would you have
Mm.
navigated that?
It would have been messy. I would have let that noise get involved. I would have let my ego get involved. I remember clearly, like, saying to E throughout, even when it got to the financial stuff, like, everything was sweet with our daughter Maisie and stuff like that was always good, majority of it. But the financial stuff was what, like, sort of ripped me apart. I was just like, fuck, I've built this business. I've bought houses when I was younger. Like, I couldn't get that out of my head. Like, I just felt like I'd been, like, all this stuff had been taken from me. And then again, I remember, like, getting that different perspective from Megan, and just saying, like, oh, fuck, I would literally been in a completely different financial situation. I would have been set. Everything was firing. And he's like, right, you made a decision. And my old man says this too, like, choices and consequences. So you decided to leave. He was like, you've shot the arrow, it's gone. Like, it's out of here. You can't chase after it now and grab it back. So you can only move forward. And he's like, you're paying for your ticket to freedom. This is what you wanted. And you pay the price. It was a big price. But still today I think about it like, but you've just got to go, it's done. I've got a new life now. I love, my wife Teagues, our blended family that we have with our 4 kids, the relocation of Par, like, everything's worked out. It's funny, everything has to happen exactly like that to be here now. But yeah, I think without having someone in your back pocket like that, it's so easy to get, like, whipped up, especially with divorce. There's so many emotions involved with it, not just the financial stuff with the kids, with, like, obviously there's a breakdown of marriage. It's like a little death. Like, you're changing. Your friendship groups change. You see who, people look at you differently. Your in-laws won't talk to you, or ex-in-laws. Do you know what I mean? There's so much to navigate. It's not just, okay, sweet, we're leaving, we split the house up. Well, takes a long time.
Yeah. And how, you're like, divorce rates are pretty high right now. Like, how unprepared do you think that people are on a regular basis to navigate that aspect of it? Because, like, you do think about divorce. I mean, I haven't been married and I haven't got kids, so I can only talk about this from the sidelines without any actual experience. But my parents separated when I was 15, and we moved countries and all sorts of things. So there's the insider knowledge there. But how much do you think that people are prepared for the social change and breakdown, and the, like, how to and navigating the actual consequences, as you say, of firing that arrow?
They don't think about it. Nowhere near enough. Like, you just don't know what you're going to experience. But I remember when I was first sharing it with Eve, like, the weeks before I'd sort of made the call. He was like, you have to give it your all for a couple of weeks. There's lots of different things that you need to do to be able to make sure, like, slow this decision down, because it is a huge decision, especially when there's kids involved. So I think people are they're not really prepared. But again, unless you've got that person there to throw these ideas around with, and I think that's why it's just so important, I think, to have a mentor, whether it's yourself or an Iggy or just someone that you can talk to, an online thing or whatever. But I just think with a lot of these things, you can't go to your family or friends. Well, you can, like, don't get me wrong. You can go get support, talk to them and stuff. I'm not saying that. But they're going to give you, some of the information they're going to give you isn't going to be the best stuff, because there's so much bias involved there as well. They're emotional about it. They're fearful. I remember when I first shared it with Mum, she was, like, crying and thought the world was ending. Thought she wouldn't see Maisie, like, my daughter. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, I just had in my head that it's going to be sweet. We're all going to catch up. We're going to have dinners together. We're going to, like, everything's sweet. And it has, I remember Dad saying, like, mate, you have rocks in your head. Like, that is never going to be the case, which it is the case now, because we've done it this way and I've got the right support around me. so I didn't let things blow up. But yeah, no one's really prepared. Like, I don't know if there's any systems out there or stuff that people might be another business to start anyway, but like a checklist on what you need to do.
How to prepare for divorce.
But I don't think you can. You literally can't until you're in it. There's just a lot of stuff. Like, it's funny, like Teagues and my wife were going through the same situation at the same time. So we could like confide in each other and help each other through it as well. We sort of had a mutual understanding, and we've always just been like we're best friends basically. So we can just spend lots of amount of time together. We were in that bubble for probably 2 or 3 years after it, and just let friendships go that weren't serving us anymore and stuff like that anyway. But yeah, there's so much to go through. Like you see it every day as well.
Yeah, I do. And just again off the deep end, because I know, probably about 50% of the men that come to me because they're going through separation. So generally they're going through either redundancy or burnout or injury or illness or separations, the probably the biggest one. How did you know that you needed to get out of the relationship?
I knew from a pretty early on. It sounds bad, but I don't know. We didn't really have that friendship or click from the start. There was something just missing from the start. I sort of knew, and I think I was smoking at the time as well, and she sort of let me get away with that. And I was like, oh, this is easy. I can, I don't have to change it all. I can just do what I'm doing. I didn't really give it my all, which looking back, like, it's obviously, I think, like, disrespectful to her, to the relate. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, I want everyone to be happy, find their person, and do their thing. Do you know what I mean? So I feel bad for that, like, that I probably let it go on. But again, everything happens. Like, we've had a beautiful daughter, Maze. Like, it's just, I wouldn't have it any other way. But I think the turning point for me was, even like my grandfather, like, I had an awesome relationship with him, and he passed away, I don't know, maybe 3 months before it. And we were preparing we were engaged, and we actually got married on April Fool's Day. And then, like, during COVID, so there's like 3 people there. And this is 10 weeks later, divorced. So pretty mad timeline and stuff anyway. But I just knew even then, I was just like, this isn't right. I don't know why I'm doing this. It's a bit of an act or something. But I think when Pa had died, it was like this pressure. He never put pressure on me. He was great. We got along, like a house on fire. But I think the pressure of him, I don't know, maybe I thought there might be judgment or something there. And as soon as that was gone, I was like, you know what? I'm going to start doing what I want to do. And then it was pretty well just this click of, I can't go back. I couldn't. That was it.
How did you feel that in your body?
Trying to think back. Yeah, there was a lot of pressure, a lot of stress there, as in the decision, or.
Yeah, I mean, like, so one of the things that I'm working on, one of the main things that I do is helping men to, trust their gut instinct. So, that feeling, that sensation that, like, this isn't right, or I need to do this, or I need to stay away from this person, or, and there's always that sensation physically that we can feel. And when you think about, like what you were talking about before around guilt and being able to, like, feeling guilty or feeling shame for smoking, like, generally that's like a visceral feeling where you feel like you feel that heavy sinking, like, it's like an intoxicating feeling for me personally when you feel guilty for something. And so what I'm asking you is, like, when you realized that you had to get out of the relationship, where or how did you feel that?
I can't really remember it. Like, to be honest, it was a long time ago, but Yeah, I don't know. I can't really like pinpoint a time exact, like, exactly how I was feeling throughout it. But it was more that I knew and I had that feeling of, like if you're about to resign for your job, like this is the best way to describe it. And you got that fear or that anxiety of just like, I know I've got to have this chat with someone, but I don't know how to have it, or I don't want to have it. I don't want to hurt someone. So that was probably the more thing that was eating me up, because I was like, just, you have to do it. Like if you've made this call and that's what's going to happen, it just has to come out. And I think that for me was probably, that's the feeling I can remember. It was just like I needed to do something and I wasn't doing it. And yeah, I don't know if that explains it or describes it.
Yeah, it definitely, I think, like it is that when we are overwhelmed with that feeling, it's kind of like we do have to make change, like there is, I think that lots of people get to that pressure point or that precipice of change is like our tolerance for the build up to that is different. So some people,
Mm.
I've got clients that have known for 10 years rather than 10 weeks that they needed to get out of a relationship and just not able to, but like diminishing themselves behind the scenes because they didn't have the courage to take that step at that point.
Yeah.
We got a question here from Jared, which is, how did you navigate custody? It would absolutely break me not having my kids with me every day. I am the parent that does the morning and evening routines. The effect of my absence on the trajectory of their livelihoods is my greatest concern.
Mm. Yeah, no, so it should be. Like you have to factor that in. And so Maisie at the time was 2, had just turned 2, I think. And so straight off the bat, we worked out how to best do the split. Like we would stay in the house, and one of us would go. So I was like going to hotels to begin with. And I'm really lucky. I always say this as well. We're in a good financial situation with the business. Like I really feel for people that are both on 60 or 70 grand each, got a big mortgage. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of different pressures can come into play. So I was pretty lucky with that I could go out and do that and find different accommodation and all that sort of stuff too. But we'll just make sure, and we've always been great like that. So it's like Teagues and her ex-husband, but we're like constantly FaceTiming or sending photos to each other, just making sure you still got that connection as well. But it was so hard. Like I've only probably just the last 2 years, so it's taken me probably 5 years, or I don't know, 3 or 4, whatever it is. I'm not good at maths. To get rid of that guilt or that concern. And I think you're just going to be as present as you can during that time. So we have 50-50 custody, and it's just, I never go more than 3 days without seeing Maze. And even if there's sporting things on the weekend, like little nippers or anything like that, like we're always there. So we see them a fair bit. But yeah, like I'm massive. So I've got another daughter now too, my wife Teagues as well, who's with us obviously all the time. And then our other 3 kids come and go. So it's a funny, weird environment that we've got that you've got to navigate. But yeah, like I'm the same as you, Jared. Like I love like all the morning routines, the lunches and stuff. We all hook in and do that, play around on the ground. There's still an aspect of yelling and come on guys, let's get ready. If I can get your shit going, come on. Like we're not perfect, but even all the nighttime stuff, like it's just you've got to. If you're in that situation, you've just got to make the most of it. And you can either sit there for that 50% of the time when you don't have them and really feel like, feel the feels and just sit there and mope around, or you can go, all right, well, I'm going to use that time to go to the gym, to learn to meditate, to do some breath work, to work on my business, to better my life for them, if that makes sense. So there's still, but that is huge. That was so hard to transition across. And even sometimes, like my Maisie at the moment went to England. It's the first time. It's been 2.5 weeks, the longest time I've ever had without her now. And she comes back next Wednesday. And that, like, yeah, it's still, there's that impact. You're like, shit, I thought that if she was going overseas for the first time like that I'd be with her, or like I can't protect her now, or there's heaps of stuff like that. And you've just got to be able to have that help and process through it. But it does get easier, but that's why I say people need to really think through that decision. Like if there was a chance where you and your wife, I'm not saying Jared is going through or whatever, but loved each other, or there was that support, there was that, like, there's potential you can get that back. Like, I think a lot of people throw it out too quick, where my situation, he had asked me that, and I was like, I don't think it's there. I just don't, I love her like a sister. Like, that's where we're at. And I'll continue to support her and look after her and Maisie, but that's it. So, but I think a lot of people, if it was, say it was with Teagues and I now, I'd be working through that as much as possible. I'd be getting all the support. I'd be taking the ownership. I'd be looking inwards. Like, we've had lots of different blow-ups and arguments. Like, blending a family is frigging hard. Like, there's so much shit comes up with that even. And we've had to go through all that, navigating everything. And so many times, we could have walked away and just you start the process again. But the same shit's going to come up. So, yeah.
I think there's lots of guys that, feel like, and on the point of like, change doesn't have to mean failure. I know from the men that I've worked with that there's a lot of men that think that, like, they don't want to be the one that breaks up the family. They don't want to be the one that, like, causes that. They don't want to be the cause of that. And so they hang in there. And I mean, I spent 4.5 years in the mines up in Mackay and or at the ports, and I watched plenty of married men, fathers, completely lose themselves, diminished entirely, like going home and drinking and smoking weed in the shed out the back alone, because there was nothing that they could do that was right, or whatever that looked like. But there was the option of leaving wasn't there either. That they couldn't bring themselves to make that change, to put themselves first, or to like, or work on themselves is probably one of the most scary things, I think, regularly. And so
I'm sorry.
You go.
Yeah, I was going to just touch on that. Like, I think when you say those guys could, like, they had no other option but to, go and do that or break up the family or whatever as well. Like, I get it. And I think a lot of us, not just men, but everyone, like, just don't take that responsibility. Like, and here's an example. Like, say if Teagues and I have had an argument, something's happened, things are a bit frosty, and then I'll go and talk to Ig, for instance, on a Wednesday. We sit there at the beach, have a chat about things, and I'm like, it's very rare I do it now because I've learned my lesson with things. But I'm like, at the start of that, I would be constantly, Teagues did this and she said that. If she'd only reconnect quicker, if she'd do this, if I just want to reconnect straight away, and it frustrates me, and da 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 da. And he'd be like, whoa, stop. He's like, this isn't about her. It's nothing about what she's done. Like, this is about your reaction, your response to things. Like, you need to change. Like, this is all for you to change. Like, she's your greatest teacher, man. Like, you need to be able to work around this. So I think, and it took me a long time. Like, I would constantly be saying to him, but fucking I feel like a doormat and da-da-da-da-da. And he's like, no, mate. You need to be able to, if you're coming out of your balance and you're not staying calm and you're not doing the things that you want her to do, he's like, how does that make sense? So I think, and it's a tough pill to swallow, to be like, holy shit, this is me. And then as soon as I started putting it into play, I was like, fuck, this works. Like, to get the result I want, I need to stay calm. I need to be balanced. I need to be relaxed. I need to journal through things. I need to give her time and space, like whatever the hell it is. And I still, don't get me wrong, there's still lots of times where I'll come out of it and I'm like, but I even know during the times I've got this awareness now of like, fuck, I'm doing it. Like, just stop me. Sometimes it's hard to stop the back and forth. You're just two egos wanting to win. Yeah. I hope Teagues doesn't mind me sharing this. She's probably at home going, what the fuck are you doing? I'll be a divorce after this.
I know, but it sounds so much better coming from you, right? Like, because this is something that I talk to guys about all of the time. But when you actually hear that from a man who is doing the work, who is taking responsibility, like, for me, I say to the guys every single week, it starts and ends with you. It doesn't matter what the fuck anyone else is doing. Like, you're the one that's in it. You're the one experiencing it. The only thing that you can control in your situation is you. But if you don't know how to control yourself, if you don't know how to understand yourself, if you don't know what it takes to calm yourself down and to relax yourself or to give yourself that opportunity, then you're at war primarily with you rather than with your partner.
Yep. And a lot of it is like they'll be sitting there and drinking in the shed or doing whatever they're doing, and there's so many things to distract yourself. And I saw things saying, "Oh, she's fine.
Yeah,
At least she's smiling.
Just no privacy here.
We're getting a smile at least. That's good." We appreciate I might be on, but you know. But yeah, it is like you can either sit there and, like I was doing, I think the smoking thing was a big distraction. It was just like, oh, I don't want to deal with my shit. And I don't want to deal with the fact that I know this is wrong already. So I'm just going to keep doing that because this is the easy part. But when you do the work, like lots of stuff will come up, and yeah, but it just has to be done. That's what I think. And I used to push back on Ig as well. It'd be like that's what, as the man, you want to do this. You want to do, and he sort of speaks some of those little things like that. It's not making, don't take any of that the wrong way, because he's definitely about, women and kids, like everything. He's brilliant. But I'll be like, oh, why is the man going to do that? Why have I got to fucking, why have I got to be the one to do it just because I'm a man? Where it's not, he'd be like, no, well, it's not about that at all. It is about and what it comes down to, though, is like, who do you want to be? Mm-hmm. What other guys or women do you want to emulate? And I'm like, well, I want to be calm. I want to speak slow. I want to be balanced. I want to be this safe space for my wife and my kids. And he's like, well, great. That's what it's about being. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. It's just about being and embodying those things. And that's what will bring about the change. So he's like, just so happens that they are, or something like masculine traits. I'm paraphrasing it, but do you know what I mean? Yeah. But I would say, I'm a very feminine sort of dude. I was brought up with two sisters, female cousins. There was no bullshit from dad to be a man and fucking do this and that, or any, I don't know. I just didn't have that. So I think with T, sometimes she'd be like, I'm just sort of that, sometimes that gentleness about me, but I've definitely got that other aspect if I need to go and be competitive and do things as well. But I'd much rather just be calm and relaxed as much as possible. I don't want drama.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the, probably, I would say, out of the top three things that I hear from guys that come in, we're doing hand signals. It's rogue. One of the top three things that men come and say to me is like when I ask them on a discovery call, what is it that you're looking for? What do you want in your life? They go, I want peace. And I'm like, okay, great. Well, what the fuck does that mean? That's why this is called the good man paradigm, right? Because what the fuck does good mean? If good is the enemy of great, then what are we trying to be? If you want to be good, you're not trying to be passionate and driven and, and great out there in the world, whatever that is for you. That doesn't mean that you have to be hyper masculine, achieving all of the time, but it's just what does that mean? And it's not to say that having peace in your life is not something that we should aim for, but if we don't know how to know what that is, if you don't know what peace is, then how do you know what that looks like? And for you, that might be that I don't want drama. I want to be relaxed. I want to be calm. I want to be able to deal with situations and have great conversations. It's great, that is peaceful. But you have an understanding of what that is and what that looks like. But
yeah, it's a good point. And even it's funny because I'm a huge work in progress. And sometimes I get frustrated. I was like, fuck, I should have this together. Come on, I should have my shit sorted in terms of my mind. I shouldn't get anxious anymore. I shouldn't feel fear, and I shouldn't it. And it's silly because you're always going to feel those things anyway. But I did have a point, but it's lost me now anyway. But it'll come back. Oh, sorry, around here. So we talked to Ig around identity this week. I literally said to him, next week, can we go through identity? Because I was I still don't understand truly exactly what I want to be or who I am, if that makes sense. So he's fantastic. Yes, we can go through that. And I'm how do then I become that person? Which to me is like you're saying, I want to be peaceful. I want to be calm. I want to be balanced. Like it's funny. I don't give a shit about a money or a car or a house. Like they're all great and fun and good to have, but I would much rather that, like have peace of mind and feel relaxed and at ease, and that's what everyone really wants. They think all this shit's going to do it for them.
Yeah. And I mean, there was a point in your life, judging, maybe this is an assumption, but what you were saying before around like, divorce and the money loss and, like I've worked so hard to build all of these things and now I'm going to lose them or they're going to be taken away from me. And, like what's been the transition for you between that state and now, like, actually, I don't need all of those things to make me happy. Like that's an internal state of being, right?
I think just over time, I just realised more and more, like even actually was like when we were back in living in Wagga, we bought, so Teagues and I, the first house that we bought together was like just over $1 million. And I was like, what the fuck? I never thought I would buy. I mean, like, it just sounded crazy anyway. And then I thought, oh, that's going to like, it was easy, amazing house, it was beautiful. And then, when I got in there, it was like a couple of months and I sort of just became complacent with it. There wasn't really much gratitude for it or anything like that as well. And I remember, just having those thoughts around, that's not it. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if and then when we sold that to come up here, the house we bought here was a 3-beddy, full reno job. And like it's sort of half the joint it was. And we're just as happy, like everything's fine. And then when we leased for 12 months before we moved up here, it was a smaller house, older house. The hot water had run out, like when we used the shower and stuff as well. And the kids were like, what's going on here? Because they used to have an hour-long showers, like spoiled little buggers. Like I remember, Dad, I couldn't get past 5 minutes. Then, get out of the shower off. And then I was like, this is what happens. I was like, it's a gas hot water, guys. It runs out. So tough luck.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I think just those situations for me to go, or even with the business, again, I've been lucky enough to, I've gone from earning $50,000 a year to sometimes I've had a couple $100,000 in the account, but it makes you feel no difference. Or you could be on a holiday in fucking Greece or whatever, and you still have the same stuff. That it doesn't, unless you work through things, all that stuff just, I think, yeah. And I know it can sound like a cop out, like if you're building and you grinding hard, you're trying to build a business and get to where you want to go, like to be like, oh, fuck, just because you've gotten there and then you can see it. But everyone's on their own path. I still think go for it, do it. But, and that's I think, like even he says, like, it's great to want those great things and to want to build a big business, be creative, and like, it's great. But as long as that doesn't take away from what you truly want. So it's just a balance. And I still battle with that now. Like even building out this new business, I'm like, well, fucking why? Like, why do we do this? Why do I keep, like, what's the point? Like, we're all going to die anyway. Like, what's the point of all this? What's the point of state of origin? What's the point? I just ask these weird questions sometimes, which, yeah.
And it's like, I mean, it's true, right, as well. Like, what does ambition mean? Where does it, rogue fucking thumbs up. What is ambition? I don't know if everyone else can see that, but it's doing a little bubble thing on my screen. What is ambition and where does it lead us? And, like where does it come from, that creative potential to be able to feel inspired? I remember when you first came up with Talent Cartel and you hadn't even told anyone yet, and you put it in our legacy group and you were just like, I've just had this idea, like, and that inspiration coming through to be able to, and then to bring that into reality, like to actualize that and actually create something. I've looked at your website and watched you start to build this out and seen the drive online and things like that. And it takes guts, I think, but it also it requires a heck of a lot of courage. And, behind all of that is the self, right? Like people think, oh, I should just be more courageous, or I need the confidence. One of my clients said to me the other day, like, I'm going to do it. I just need the confidence. And I'm like, confidence is not the first thing that comes. Like confidence comes from taking that action and putting yourself out there and taking the risk, right? And so when you've navigated like the business side of things, coming back to that, like change doesn't have to mean failure. I know that you've been through some massive changes within Huntsman and then building out Talent Cartel as well. But what do you feel like have been some of the biggest shock waves of being an employer and having staff and things like that, and being able to navigate changes in your business?
Hmm. For me, like I've always been a people pleaser. Like I never enjoy like hurting people. I always want to do right by them. And I think like I learned very early, like literally 6 months into the business, the first employee I had, a lot of like different pushback and things as well. I was like, what's going on here? And question me about things. I got to buy a magazine and put it under the business account. She's like, oh, you can't do that. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, you know, like, anyway, like, just shit like that would come up. And then she fell pregnant. She told me, and I was like, sweet, congratulations. And then anyway, she was like, so you can, like, I'm sweet. Like, let me go whenever you want, find someone else. And Kit, and I was like, no, you let me know. Like, whenever you're sweet, like, we'll make it work. I'll make it work around you, whatever you need. And then she was just saying, like, no, you need to get your shit together now. Like, you need to find someone else. She's a really strong-willed sort of person, you know, big personality. And anyway, I was like, okay. And then so I reached out to Katie, who's now my business partner, been with us for 10 years. And we met with her and I spoke to her. And then she's like, yeah, just like whenever you want to finish me up, just finish me up. And I was like, okay, well, a couple of weeks, fine. And yep. Anyway. And then I went and had coffee with a mate who played netball with her. And then she's like, do you know what such and such is saying about you? And I was like, what? And I'd always think, still now, it's a hard thing. Like, I don't like people not, it's just, I don't know, just be honest. Like, I prefer that people would like me, but I understand now, like, you can't. Not everyone's going to like you. Like, some people will listen to this and be like, what a fucking idiot. Fine. Like, I am coming to peace with that now. But, yeah, she's saying to people that you got rid of her because she was pregnant. And I was like, I just felt instantly sick. And I was like, I wanted to take out a front page of the Telegraph and be like, this isn't true. Like, what the fuck? I wouldn't do that. Anyway, but you realise that people will spin whatever story they want. And it's out of your control. And then I remember talking to another big business owner in Wagga, and he's like, Rhyley, get used to this, man. He's like, I've had hundreds of people come and go. And he's like, they'll all say something. You can't please everyone. You just have to thicken the skin. And literally everyone that's come and go, something's inevitably happened, or it's just thing. Like, if there's performance issues, you have to address them as a business owner. If something's going on, you have to face it head on. You can be empathetic and understanding and stuff as well, give people all these chances. But at the end of the day, you need to make a call. Like, for me, a business is like a baby, and as a director, you're the parent. So you've always got to do what's best for that baby. So when you're making a decision, you're like, all right, what am I going to do here now? Like, what's going to protect the baby? Not what's a bad, a hard conversation that I'm going to shy away from. It's like, you got to do what's best. If you're going to jump in front of the car to say, you got to do it. So, but even now, like 6 months ago, it's flown by, but we had a really good core team. I realised, one, I was massively overpaying, like ridiculous amounts of money, like a 22-year-old earning $200,000 a year. So I realised I stuffed up there, wasn't going to be viable moving forward. A few other things with there's just a lot of, like, when I started looking at finances and stuff, I was like, I've got to make a call here. Either I get back on the tools and we try and find a different way with AI and with using. We've got an employee in the Philippines now who's been absolutely brilliant. Like, she's just a gun. But we just changed how we did things. It doesn't mean. But a part of me, like, getting back to it, did feel like a fail. I was like, I love coaching a team. I love mentoring a team. I love building the team. And now I love this whole identity shift has happened again, where I'm like, I'm not doing that anymore. We're having a small micro business. We're making 8 times the money, though. Like, everything makes sense with that. But it's still my mind trying to work out. And you got to find that in different areas. And I think that's where even Talent Cartel, I was like, great, I can coach through that. I can coach people on exactly how to recruit. I can be their confidant there. I can build them up through there, and I can use that. And then I can use Huntsman for a different thing. But even now, it's changed again. Like, Katie and I were talking 2 weeks ago, saying we actually do want to rebuild. We want to do it in a different way. We want to take all these lessons and do it again. And we, like, there's just so in business, like as you know as well, you get slapped around the face all the time. You have to change and adapt. You can't let it. You just got to move forward. But again, those redundancies were really, really hard. Like I was really good friends with them. Haven't really spoken to them since. Like everyone again has their own take on how things go and their own feelings. It's not to invalidate any of that, but to me, I'm like, that's what I hate about business. Like, or even breakups. So like, why does it have to be? We don't talk again. Why does it have to be this thing of, you know, why can't we just go, it is what it is. It's unfortunate. Everything does happen for a reason. Like we'll all look back in 5 years' time, like that was your path, that was your path, that was my path. And we're sweet. Like it'll be a blip on the radar. But those things for me, I think the emotional side of business, I can let impact me sometimes. But I've really been able to have to like train myself to be able to have these discussions, like change my approach with things, be really clear with communication and expectations. I've got had leadership coaches that I've worked with that have completely changed who I am. Like I've spent, I don't know, hundreds of thousands on coaches literally to level up. But yeah, that leadership one in particular was the best thing in the business I've ever done. Completely changed how I approach people.
You took the question like straight out of my mouth, and I was going to say, like, how much do you think that you've invested, and how much time and like work personally do you think that you've invested into changing your mindset or being able to navigate these things? Because what you're talking about, like those redundancies and you know, like people out there like talking rubbish about you or whatever that is, like, you know, against your reputation and things like that, like the opportunity to take that so personally and go to war, that's the same as, you know, like through divorce, you know, like do we go to war for this thing, or do we take the outcomes that we've got and rebuild from the information that we have? And I think, you know, like so many people, I don't know, if I hadn't, like I'm 15 plus years deep into personal development for myself now, so I know unequivocally that I would not be able to shoulder the weight of building and like creating, building and running the business that I've created had I not, one, invested so much in coaches and support, but two, just, you know, like being so devoted to that. I have to figure out how to be the best version of myself that I can be for myself, rather than, you know, like what this, you know, like crazy life is that we've been running up until that point. So for you, like how much do you think time, money, energy, you know, of your life have you invested or needed to invest to develop yourself to this point?
Yeah, a lot. I'd be scared to think. Like, I know I've made good investments, bad ones. Like, say, Rig for 7 years, and I pay him a lot of money, but again, it's so worth it. That's been a long time. There could have been lots of times I could have just let that go, or I even say, oh, maybe I should, you know, go out and just give it a crack on my own for a bit or whatever as well. But I realised just how much those conversations every week are just super beneficial to me, especially if you're starting to, like, I've only probably recently really started to not save face and just be super humble with, like, this is exactly the thought. This is exactly the situation. This is exactly what, like, the more honest and real you can be from the get-go, it'll save yourself so much time. Like, if you're there trying to pretend like everything's good or just give half-truths to things, it's never going to work out. But yeah, that in itself, with like mindset-wise, probably a couple of hundred. Like even the sales stuff last year, it would have been 70 odd K for the business. Leadership coaching, probably 40 or 50. Health and nutrition, 20, like at least, with different things. That is the investment. Like, that's investing in your mind and your health is the best thing you can do. Like, it truly is. And I'm, again, pretty fortunate to be able to do those sort of things as well. And that's why I'm really, I don't know, the more accessible this sort of stuff can be, the better. Even podcasts or people listening, or if to completely take action from it. Like, yeah.
And I think like fortunate for sure, but you've obviously, like, through your shares tonight, like, you've walked through the coals, right? Like, fortunate is one thing, but like, willpower is an entirely other thing. Like, at any point, by the sounds of what you've shared, you could have crumbled and let it all go. Like, you didn't have to
Mm.
invest in yourself. You didn't have to keep Huntsman alive. You didn't, you didn't have to start Talent Cartel. You didn't have to do any of those things. You didn't have to want to achieve at a level, you could have just packed it in and gone and worked for someone.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's, I don't know, I've got this desire to draw. Like, I was talking to Teagues about it the other night. I'd be a terrible employee. I couldn't work for anyone else. Like, because I still have those ups and downs things. So sometimes I could work for a couple of hours, but then I need to have a few hours off or do something else, or go and to the gym or shake it off or do something. Or some days I'm just not feeling it. And yeah, as an employee, like, they would hate me, but I can come in and just be fully focused for 2 or 3 hours, get it, smash out heaps of work. And then other times I can do a week. Like, my personality, I don't know, I can have these stints of very focused and, like, hard work, but then I need to counteract that with, like, going to a bathhouse or, like, meditating or going to the gym or whatever as well. So I really do have a really good balance there with that. And I know if I worked at a particular pace, I would cook myself. Like, I need to work like that. Yeah. I think that's where people go wrong. They feel like they need to continually be on and continue, like, work as hard as they need and do big hours. And you just got to really make sure you're looking after yourself, because it's not sustainable. But I think that's the fear thing everyone talks about. It's all about growth and hustle and grind and more money and more consuming, like, podcasts and just more everything, where the biggest lessons I've learned from Ig is it's about eliminating it all. It's about the simplest things, like your breathing and your diet, and not like emptying out has been a big one the last 6 months for me. Like, not reading any more books, not listening to the podcast, not, like, we can listen to this one, I feel.
Definitely listen to this one. And comment,
like,
and ask questions.
Technical difficulties, we're going. But yeah, really just no one has time to just sit there and think, like, just to sit. Even if you're in a sauna, like, you're on the phone, you're on the toilet, you're on the phone, you're in a line, you're on your phone. Like, it's freaking wild. And our brains aren't wired for that.
No. And, like, I think I would agree with you, right? Like, I've had many moments throughout the 4 years that I've had Change Channel where I've just gone, I can't keep doing this. I can't. And then I'd be like, all right, I'm going to stop. And then it's like, it takes me about 0.3 of a second to go, and what? Go and work for someone else? Like, we've tried that. It doesn't work. I'm like, okay, I'm back. And
Yeah, 100%.
Because it's like, well, I can either, like, you can either confront yourself and do something that you believe in a way that you believe in, and try and figure that out. And even if it doesn't work, take the lessons from it. And, like, you might have started from a more fortunate position. I literally started Change Channel from $0 in the bank and zero business experience. And, like, I think that it's around that a lot, confrontation of self, like, what are you willing to do for yourself? And how are you willing to show up for yourself? Because if not you, then who?
Yeah.
Like, you're the only one in your skin. You're the only one in your mind. And you were talking before about the power of now. And I think the one for me, like, that moment was the untethered soul. And he says, like,
beautiful book, yeah.
The past is the past. The only place it exists is in your mind. And I remember just being like, fuck. Yeah. And you're like, it's so simple, but it's so true. And it's like, we can cart all of this shit with us, and we can apply it and project it at everything in front of us, and keep running that same cycle over and over and again. Or we can choose to turn and face it and go, all right, what is this? And how much of it can I put down?
100%.
That's the work, right? Like, that's, I love hearing so much, like, just how many times throughout this conversation you've said about how important it is to work on yourself, because I feel like I'm saying that until I'm blue in the face, but yeah, it's so great to hear your experience and how you've shown up to that, and that you are still showing up to that throughout this, because there's so many people going out there like going like, well, how the fuck do I start something? So if you were go.
Oh no, like I was just gonna say, yeah, it's like even when I started as well, like I started from the company I worked with, cut the commission structure overnight. I'd had 2 years or 3 years recruiting experience. They cut the commission structure overnight, said instead of earning 20 or 30 grand comms, you're going to get a $200 gift card a month. I was like, what? And then I remember I went to lunch at my uncle's house the next week, and I was telling him, and he's like, why don't you, he'd ran a successful gym for like 20 years. And he's just like real high energy and fucking do this, do that, da, 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 da. And he's just like, just fucking do it. Like, we'll start a logo now. You can start, you can do this and this and this. And I was like, it was just that one person who believed in you. So I literally had nothing, either no leg up, no handballs. And looking back now, I'm like so fucking glad that I didn't. And business teaches you so many lessons on, like, it's the best university degree in the world. No matter what business you're in, you constantly got to grow and learn. But that was, to me, that the point was, you've got to, if you have, like, even if you don't completely believe in yourself right now, if you have one person that can just give you that little nudge and be like, you can do it. Like, that's why I think it's so important. I love, I see someone do something right. Even, I don't know, a few months ago, there was a bloke at the tip and he was emptying his trailer out, and the way he was talking to his son, I was just like, I nearly started crying, just like listening. I was just like, fuck, that is good. And I just said, hey, man, like, you should be proud of yourself how you're just speaking to your son, man. Like, I didn't have to say that. Like, most people go, oh, that's a fucking weird thing to say, or do, like, stay out of it. I think the more you can go out of your way to do that, you can really change anything, or that can just, I don't know, like, you know, going off on a tangent, but if you can be that person or just allow someone else to be that for you, whether it's you or another coach or something as well, someone to believe in you until you do, that's a huge thing you can do for someone or for yourself, I reckon, anyway.
Yeah. And 100% right. And what you, like, coming back to what you said earlier around like your family and them not always being the most appropriate people, right? Like, my mum now is my biggest believer for sure, and she's on board. But when I first started Change Channel, she was like, couldn't you just get a part-time job so you can at least pay your bills? And your power of now, for me, that's Think and Grow Rich. And that book I read, and it changed my life. And I was like, no, because if I don't 100% believe that this is going to work, then it won't work. And so I have to be 100% in, burn the fucking bridges, burn the boats. I'm all in. If this doesn't work, then it's never going to work, you know, like, but I had a coach who became my mentor as well, who did encourage me. And so you're so right. Like, that's one of the things that I love about my job, is that I get to be that person. I believe so deeply in my clients, and I'm like, go, you can do it. Like, we can get you through this. You can build the boat, you know, like, go out there and do it, because if you don't try, you'll never know. And then, you know, like, that's I think, you know, Chris Williamson, is one of his questions is like, you know, if you were 80 or if you were on your deathbed, you know, like, what would you say that you regretted? Would it be, you know, like, would it be never trying?
Yeah. No, so cool. Like you said, if you can have someone like you do with your clients, and we have that, it's like, even you said it then, you can see your whole body language change. Like, it's like with conviction, like, you know, like, you're like, oh, I fucking believe in you, man. You can do it. Like, this is where you can be. And like, even my brother-in-law, he started a buyer's agency in Wagga 6 months ago, and I literally just looked down my phone there. That is fucking weird. He just sent me a text. So weird.
What's live?
It's 11:11. And he reached out to me a few months into his business. I remember sitting there or having a beer in his kitchen, and I was just like, mate, do it. Fucking do it. You can do it. You back yourself. I got a complete conviction and faith that he could do it. And then, and more, I just wanted to see him, like, be creative, have fun, build something, have a crack, and feel fulfilled, like, you know, a bit of energy and stuff. And I remember, a few months ago, he texted me just like, mate, that, like, you gave me that was the reason why I did it. Like, you were that person for me that pushed, and I was just like, fuck, that is cool. Like, I love that. And again, anyone can be that for anyone.
Yeah.
I hope this microphone, my laptop is about to go dead, so I need to take this mic off. Still should be fine. Is that all right?
Yeah. Can you plug your laptop in?
Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you.
Still hear me? Okay,
yep.
Awesome. Give me 2 seconds.
All right. It's interesting. Technical difficulties is all right. I'll talk through it. It's my jam. I think, in saying that, I actually had this conversation with one of my friends the other day, and she was saying, like, the same thing, like, she was like, all it takes is one person to believe in you, because she was like, oh, I can't do this because I don't have the experience, or I'm not in this position, and they won't take me seriously. And I just looked at her and went, you can't say that to me. You actually can't say that to me, because I am a woman coaching men. Like, you cannot say that you have to be one to work with one, sort of thing. Like, and she was like, fuck, I'll take that. You're right. And, and she said to me, like all it takes is one person to believe in you and really encourage you. Because every time it's like, oh, it won't work, I'm like, fuck off. Like, let's go. What are we doing here? You've got it. You can do it. You've got something to offer.
Especially with what you do. Like, you've got so much hate that could get thrown. I know you've shown me before, like, the messages that blokes will send, and you're just like, fuck, hilarious, really. Like, just weak people. But, like, you've had every chance to be like, to doubt yourself and to walk away from it, be like, oh, yeah, who am I to train a... Like, even if someone sent it to me 3 days ago and said, oh, you're going on that podcast and with the woman that, trains men, basically just taking the pill. Like, yeah, I was like, and she's a fucking gun. Like, and it doesn't matter. I remember you and I spoke about it before, but it literally doesn't matter. And sometimes I think for a guy, you tend to open up. Maybe that's why I felt like more comfortable with this. I didn't have any fear, or, like I said, anxiety around the chat, because maybe I felt more comfortable that you are. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense or not. Like, so guys might open up more to you and feel like like there might be that nurturing capacity behind it, or that femininity to it, or something as well. But it doesn't mean that you don't understand the mind. The mind is the mind. It doesn't really matter if, like, obviously there's hormones for women, and
yeah. Well, I mean, it's and that's part of the thing. It's like, men and women, we're still having to navigate similar societal issues, similar societal situations. But one of the things that I see is, like, if men want to, like, I think I tried looking up the stats the other day, but it's like 90% of men are heterosexual, right? So it's like, if you want to be with women, then wouldn't it be beneficial to speak with women and be able to practice that? Like, I've invested in male coaches so that I could, like, shift the dynamic of what it looked like to be around men and have those conversations. And so, like, we can have more fluid conversations sometimes. I think it's a great opportunity. I just want to read out Meg's comment, which is, I put off studying nursing for 10 years because I didn't believe I was smart enough. Finally had some belief in myself, and my partner had the belief in me. Now I'm smashing HDs and assessments. Having someone believe in you is huge. That's massive, Meg. Thank you so much for sharing that, because it is that, I put out a reel one day that just said, like, the one thing that men really want to hear. And so many, I watched the comments, and it was like so many men had gone to the comments to, like, obliterate me. And what I'd said was like, I believe in you. I'm, like, I love you and I support you. Please go and do the thing. And the response in there was like, she speaks the truth. It's like, because so many men really want that level of love and encouragement and support. And I think that, like, what would you say about getting outsourcing support? I know that your coach is a male, but outsourcing support versus, like, using your partner for that.
I think, this is a great one. So for me as well, like, even Teagues and I, sometimes when I would overshare to her about things with my mind or whatever was going on, or if I was anxious about something, she'd tell. She had this like intuition, like something's off with you. And I'd be like, no, everything's good. Like, fuck, gotta hold it together. Everything's good. And I'm like spinning. And then she'd be like, just tell me. Then I'd tell her or whatever. And then I'd talk to Imogen and just like, look, it's great but at the start, I wouldn't do it the right way. So it's all in how it's done, I think, with your partner. So where now I will still share. It's not about bottling things up or having to have someone external. It's fantastic. You need to have that though. But being able to say, hey, like, I know everything's okay here. Like, I'm actually all good, and I'm going to talk to Iggy about this, or I'm going to journal it out tonight, or whatever as well. But I just want to share with you that this is the sort of thoughts that I'm having at the moment about this particular thing or topic or whatever it is. Just so you know, because I just feel a bit off. And then she'll be like, oh, okay. Literally happened. We went to the footy a few weeks ago, and I was having this. I just felt like something was going to. I just felt anxious or something about nothing, about a fucking sensation in my body. It just, and I was like, fucking why? I'm like here at the footy. Why am I ruining this good moment? And then Teague's looked, she's like, what's going on? I was like, no, nothing. I'm all good. And she's like, you're humming flat out. And that's what I'll just hum to myself with things. I'm like, fuck. And she's like, just tell me. And I told her, I was like, I know everything's sweet. I was like, I'm so frustrated because like this is the thought. And she's like, oh, great. Yeah, you're fine. She was like, we were sweet. And she's like, I thought you didn't want to be here with me. I thought you wanted to be doing something else or da-da-da. So people can tell themselves all their own stories. So you need to be able to share what's going on. But I think it's in how. And I think I don't know, this is where it gets a bit interesting, but like that from the man and the woman perspective anyway, for me, like sometimes I would feel weak. That's why I don't really like to share that. I'd rather try and sort it to myself, because I do feel like, fuck, I want her to think that I've got my shit sorted, that I've got it all together. And that's what she was like, sometimes I feel lonely in that. I was like, it's none of her fault. It's my own for not being able to express it. Or even sometimes Ig's like, well, the thing is, mate, you don't even know what the real thought is anyway. You're confused by it. So how the hell can you tell someone else about it until you get an understanding about what it is?
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
For sure. I think that comes back to one of the benefits of working with a woman is like we are more emotive, and there are like, you know, there's more understanding of emotions, I think, often, which is that, you know, like majority of men are trying to shut them down and women are trying to get them out. And so it is being able to understand, what are you feeling? What are you experiencing? So that you can convey that to someone else with some sort of efficacy, you know, like so that they can help to understand what because otherwise it's just like comes out as frustration or irritation or anxiety or like that whole like, right, well now you don't want to be here with me, and then now we're at war.
Yeah, that's where a lot of the dramas, I think, in relationships come from. It is 100% communication, and there's like something underlying you've taken home from work or whatever, like you said, and then next minute, the one thing that they say sets you off about it because there's just like, I think it was Ig as well. I keep referencing back to him anyway, but he's like, people that are triggered all the time. He's like, well, they're a loaded gun. They're walking around like a loaded gun. So the slightest little thing is like bang. Bang, they're firing off their reactions. And it's so true. I'll never forget about that. Like, so I think the more we can, so a big thing that he's always teaching me, which I go through lots of different phases of doing it. I know I need to stick to it. I've probably gone the longest. I've probably been 9 or 10 days now straight of doing it every night. It's called Reflections and Corrections, where you go through, write down what happened in the day. And a lot of the nights I don't want to do it. It's the last thing I want to do. I'm like, I just got all the kids put to bed. I've just done this. I want to watch a show. But I'm like, this is the goal. And it's just to go through then what went well, what could go better tomorrow, what emotions you had, and then what thoughts created the emotions. So you can go through and be like, oh, felt this. Oh, that's what I was thinking around it. And then the correction of it. So like, what's the truth behind that thought of like, fuck, is talent cartel going to work? Am I going to look like a dickhead? Will I get any numbers on there? Do I even know what I'm talking about? All this self-doubt, all this shit. And you can start to put it on paper and you're like, okay, I can see it now. They're just thoughts and they're questions, majority of them. And I just need to address the question. And then the great thing about it is now that I've been doing it, is I then take that book to the session with Eagle, like someone like with yourself, and be like, it's all there. I don't need to prep or plan. It's just like, let's talk through what's in there.
Yeah.
And it's gold, but you start to, like you were saying, you start to really understand what's going on yourself, because if you don't do that work, you never know what's in your head. It just stays in there spinning around. So it helps with that emptying out.
That's the way that I explain that is like, you know, you go to the Chinese takeaway shop and there's the writing on the sign that just scans across, and you can only ever read so much of it before it's gone. And our minds operate a lot like that. And it's like, you know, your thought process is just looping on as much bandwidth as you have. And if you're super busy and you've got all of these things to think about, then the bandwidth is so much smaller. So the loop becomes so much tighter. And when you pull it out, you get to actually expand out, because you are like pulling out that narrative out of your head and being able to go like, that's what that says. Like, that's not even real, you know, like, but when you're stuck in that like loop, then you have no opportunity to see, you know, like where that pathway leads or what the full extent of that thought process is. And so we're just stuck in this loop. And the busier your life is, you know, like that's what you were saying before around like we don't allow time. We're so busy, we're grinding, we're working so hard, we're hustling, we're doing all of these things, we're filling up every fucking moment of our lives so that we look like we're succeeding and we're achieving, and we have no capacity for contemplation and reflection to be able to like, who am I? What am I doing? How did I get here? Am I where I want to be? There's no slow. If there's no slow, there's no intuition. You know, there's like no gut instinct, there's no reflection.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I remember like even like seeing one night when I wrote it all out, just the thoughts, I was like, oh my God, like no wonder I feel off today. Like that's the shit that's just sitting in there, spinning around, going unaddressed, that I'm just, like, but now I can see it. And I was like, even just seeing it down there, I was like, all right, well, that's a lot. Like, no wonder. And then you can start to piece it all together, be like, I'm sure, like, I've done this before. Like, I've seen the pattern to this. I know everything actually will be all right. The reason I'm scared is because of this. Or, you know, I do know what I've been talking about. I've been doing this for 16 years. Like, it's just fear because I haven't actually launched yet. As soon as I launch and get a client on, I know I'll be fine. So it's just like these little things you can start to notice every day until it actually becomes this thing of, okay, I've got an understanding now.
Yeah. Well, we're not scared of success, we're scared of failure, right? Like it's you're probably not scared that it'll succeed and it'll go really well. It's like, we know that that's probably going to happen. It's like the fear is that it won't go anywhere, and that, you know, it's actually the other way around. We're not scared of failure, we're scared of success, because we know what it feels like to fail. Like, you know what it feels like to have talent cartel and it not go anywhere, because that's where it currently is. You know, it's like, what happens if it works? Got myself all sorts of mixed up then. What happens if it works? What happens if you get 50 clients? You know, like what happens if it all goes better than you ever possibly could have imagined? Because that's the data, the information that we don't have. Yeah. That's
and the thing is, you're scared of it because, or I am, and I think, because that's when you're saying it, I was sort of like, oh yeah, like you can have fear of both, like you just said as well. But the fear for me with that, I think a lot of people, that's why they self-sabotage things. And like you say to yourself, you want to grow and you want to build that as well. But then you're like, that I would have to be a different person, so that I'd have to change to meet the needs of that business. And then that's scary, because you're like, oh, fuck, I'd have to give this, or I'd have to, whatever. Or if you're smoking bongs or whatever, like you'd be like, oh, shit, if that happens, I'd have to, that part of me would be gone. And you're like, well, don't you want that anyway? But it's still this thing.
It's in the mind. Yeah. That's the thing about the relationships. I was just going to come back to what you were saying before. It's like, like the fear of going through separation, back to Jared's question earlier around like managing custody and all of those things. It's like, if you truly believe, and again, I haven't been through divorce, but I've definitely been through some pretty hectic separations. And if you believe that it's not for you anymore, then you're doing everyone a disservice by staying in something that you no longer believe in. Because not only do you you're holding onto that for yourself, but you're also occupying that for someone else. It's like to pick something up, you must first put something down. And depending on how big the thing is that you want to pick up is relative to how big the thing is that you have to put down. And so when we think about the space that we're occupying in our energy, like in our bandwidth, our capacity to have friends, have partners, have kids, have jobs, all of those things. It's like, if you're holding on to a relationship, whether that's a business, whether that's, being an employee, whether that's in a relationship, if you're holding on to that and it's really not for you, like, you're giving everyone the worst version of you in that, but you're also not allowing anyone in that situation to have a better experience either, because your fear of letting that go, or letting people down, or doing the wrong thing by people, or loss, or any of that sort of stuff, is holding you and everyone else back from actually possibly enjoying life more.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, couldn't have said it better. It's doing everyone a disservice, like, because you don't want to go through the discomfort. So either the discomfort of changing yourself and amending the relationship and making that better for everyone, or if you just know, no, I've done all that, I've done everything I can, it's too toxic, whatever it is, I need to move on. And even like back to Jared's stuff, like I didn't touch on as well, but sometimes like it's their path. Like, say for Maisie, my daughter anyway, that was her path. If I hadn't have done this, she wouldn't have. So we came together in a blended family. They were all been together since they were 2 and 3 years old, so they know no different. So and I get that it can be harder when they get older and stuff as well, but I haven't experienced that, so I can't talk to it. But in our experience anyway, she's got like another brother or sister now, which she wouldn't have had. They're like at school together, they like fight like cats and dogs, they love each other. It's just like that, and even having the 2 households and stuff as well, that's built huge resilience. Like, I've never met a happier kid. Like, if I could bottle her happiness and energy and enthusiasm and love for life and everything, the world would be a better place. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's just, but on the other hand, like, even my stepkids, Zig and Jew as well, like Zig's the same, but then Jew sort of goes, she's very emotional, and there's a lot of different things that we need to work through with her as well, which, again, everyone has these different experiences of the situation as well. And she probably more wants to be with the mum and really has this attachment to Teagues, which we're trying to work through. But again, it's like all of those things are the path. Like, if this hadn't have happened, it's like that Michael Singer, that book, the Surrender Experiment and stuff as well. He talks about this coolest thing. It's about the dinosaur back, or the media, not the media, the Big Bang, the stars, and everything that happened there. I'm absolutely picturing this, and then the dinosaur came, it stomped in the ground, made this big crater. Then over years, the rainfall made it into a lake, which then, so these people then made their little village at the side of the lake there. And then it was pouring down rain, and old mate's coming out of there drunk, fallen over, knocked into his wife. Then next minute, they've had kids, to here. Like, it's been 13 billion years of everything happening exactly the way it happened to be this conversation now. If all that shit hadn't happened with me, even if we didn't sign up to switch at the start, we would have met each other.
No, we wouldn't be having the conversation. Yeah.
Just living in Wagga, I would never come. So it's when you have that, and it's still like, again, I don't have the grasp of it all the time, but I'm just like, there's no real control here, and everyone's path is their path, and you've just got to take like the next step, and just trust that things will work out. Another great thing that he said is you have 100% success rate of overcoming every problem you've ever faced.
Yeah. Yeah, so every true.
Problem. And you're
Yeah, I've posed that question to the guys in my phase 4 program. I'm like, how many things that you really set your mind to in your life thus far have you failed at? And they're like, I'm like, that you really set your mind to, that you really decided that you wanted. How many things in your life have you not achieved that you decided that you wanted? And they were like, none. You know, exactly. So why not? And you are right. Like everything happens exactly as it needs to, exactly when it needs to. And I think that the invitation for those of you that aren't sure is it really uncomfortable? Is there a lot of friction? Is there a lot of resistance? Like, do you feel like you're holding on and there's chaos, you know, coming from that? Or and if you let go of that, what would change? You know, like, it's like, how tightly are we clinging on to something that we desperately want versus what you're talking about, which is like, all right, well, if I just take my hands off the wheel a little bit, you know, like, it'll course correct.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's the motorbike as well. You know, like, you see them with when they get the rattle, and then it's like, so many just take their hands off and it automatically will correct. You know, like, we will 100% course correct if we allow ourselves to.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, with the blended family and the kids stuff as well, it's like, yeah, again, like it's everyone's path as well, and everyone's trajectory as well. And then all you can do is do the work on yourself and better yourself as much as you can. Be the best father or mother for your kid when you have them there as well. Support, even to me, a big thing, like, support your ex-wife or your ex-husband or whatever as well. Like, be there, show the kids that you can still have a great relationship. What's the old man saying there? Lucky I didn't go to town on you. I didn't know he was listening in.
I thought I'd put that one up there for you. Rhyley, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I think this conversation has been absolutely epic. And thank you so much for sharing so honestly as well about your experience. I know that there's people in the audience that have gone through things similar, and even you're getting some questions in there around like how to navigate those situations. If people want to reach out to you based on this and they want to have a chat to you, or they want to ask you some questions, or they want to get in touch, what is the best way for people to follow you, know what you're doing, be able to chat with you if they like? What does that look like for you?
Just speak to my agent at my Instagram or LinkedIn. So it's just Rhyley Hunter or Rhyley.Hunter on Instagram. Or you can follow Huntsman Recruiting as well on there as well. But yeah, LinkedIn or Insta is probably the best way to go. Yeah, and more than happy to have a chat with anyone if you are navigating those things. And I'm always one as well. I'm not going to sit there and have, like, I'll definitely empathise with people around things too, but I'm going to give you like, I want you to be empowered, if that makes sense as well. And I'm not going to sit there and be like, yeah, that's fucking unfair that she's done this. And I'm not going to buy into a story of it. I'll just want to be able to help you. Like, what's the solution to what you're looking to do? I'm more than happy to share or help or anything like that as well.
Rad. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Rhyley. And thank you for all of those that have been watching us an hour and a half. We've been in the hot seat.
Is that what it's been? Oh, jeez. I thought I was getting hungry.
Yeah, an hour and a half. So as well, if anyone wants to comment on this or share your feedback, share your thoughts, please let us know. We'll tag all of Rhyley's handles in the comment section as well, so that you can find him easily if you would like to ask him some questions or get some solutions and pathway forward. But thank you all for joining us on the Good Man Paradigm. We will be back again next Thursday night at 5:30, and then in a couple of weeks we've got another special guest on, so watch out for that as well. Rhyley, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It was awesome. I loved it.
All right. See ya.